Here we are again talking about the least attractive hobbies that men can have. This topic hit the Explore page a little while ago, and now it has recently hit it again with another viral post. We're going to be talking about that today. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channels. Guys, let me bring you over to this tweet with 3.3 million views. A lot of people were talking about this, I want to say maybe about a week ago or so, and I wanted to make a video on it again, okay? So, the number one most unattractive male hobby is playing video games. Number 2, collecting figurines. Number 3 being magic tricks. 4, online trolling. And 5, gambling. This was a conversation we had a little while ago on the channel. Remember when it was like a trend for all of this to like just be something to talk about online? I don't remember what the order was, but I do remember playing video games is all the way at number 1. Now, it is important to note before we get a look at the replies, because I want to take a look at the quote tweets, the replies to this, again, everything that we could find related to this to kind of get a gauge on how people feel about this. But I'm not nearly as upset, or I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not upset at all, but I don't get outraged like a lot of guys do reading this type of stuff, because I have been a very big defender of women and their icks, okay? Long story short, you cannot control what you are attracted to. It's like someone walking up to you and saying like, hey, no, that's not okay that you like blonde girls, okay? At the end of the day, you can't help what you're attracted to. Where I disagree with these types of things is when it's not something that's biologically wired into you. For example, it was a trend a long time ago when the icks first came about, right? Where it was unattractive for a guy, or was an ick for a guy to chase a ping pong ball. There is absolutely nothing that is biologically wired into women that you could possibly trace to finding chasing a ping pong ball unattractive. Some messed up girl in the head thought that was an ick. Don't know, I don't have any explanation for that. And then because women, they work off of social proof, enough of them adopted that where it's now an official ick. And if you chase a ping pong ball, you are unattractive, according to women. Where I do understand them is, we've talked about this a few times on the channel, guys, playing video games. While there is amazing things with video games, you can use it as a social tool. You can actually, it literally is better than sitting down watching Netflix and all that, right? There's a lot of good that can come from video games, and it's important to know, obviously, before you comment down below, well, my husband's addicted. My boyfriend plays 8+ hours a day. First of all, I don't know if I really believe that. Very few people actually sit down and do that in the grand scheme of things. Most people sit down and play video games very casually for an hour, maybe 2 hours, maybe not even every night, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as your responsibilities are taken care of elsewhere. It is understandable for playing video games to be kind of, while that's not wired into women, it's understandable because the women don't necessarily like to see their boyfriends or husbands or partner not doing anything. They like to be watching them and I know, there could be a better way to say this, but it's because you're not doing anything. That is inherently unattractive to women, and you could trace that into different areas of that. We can dive a little bit deeper into that. But to number 2, collecting figurines. This one I don't really understand too much, to be honest with you. I get why women wouldn't necessarily like it, but is it really that bad that it is the least attractive male hobby aside from playing video games? I get it, and I know women are really into decorating their houses, something that my dad has a lot of collections, right? My dad put in his will that I get his sword and knife collections, and my wife is not looking forward to that because I already know my dad has his swords put up on a wall. It looks super cool, right? My mom hates it. My mom has always hated it, and I know that for a fact. My wife will end up hating the same thing, but it's normal for girls to not want I don't want to say useless things because that's not true. Plus, if anything, it's useful. If anybody ever breaks in, then you're actually prepared. But I understand why they wouldn't like it, but is it really that bad? Where it's a huge unattractive part for men, right? Number 3, magic trick. I love magic, dude. I absolutely love magic. I think it's really cool, but I know that there's a lot of people who do magic tricks that are really cringe. So that one I actually think makes sense. Number 4, online trolling. Is this even considered a hobby? I guess for 0.1% of the population. And number 5 is realistically the only one where we can all sit down and agree on that. Yeah, you know what? Gambling is objectively bad for you. Gambling is understandable to have as one of the least attractive hobbies, which is really interesting because you wouldn't expect this to make the list on a list of least attractive male hobbies, because you would think it would be stuff like playing video games. You would think it'd be stuff like collecting figurines. I'm surprised to see gambling on this list. Now, it isn't just what I think about, guys. Let's take a look at the replies to this, the Explore page, to kind of get a gauge on how people are feeling about this. And by the way, if you have not liked the video already, please hit like on the video, comment down below what you think about everything. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Let's get into it. Isn't it interesting how women can sit there and watch entire seasons on Netflix in a single weekend, but men playing video games is unattractive? Here's the thing. This is where I actually push back on this whole thing a little bit, because this is, don't get me wrong, he's accurate, okay? This is something that you just hear a lot when you hear this conversation brought up, where it's like, oh, women will just binge an entire reality show an entire weekend, do nothing but sit down in their bed and eat. But that actually is, like, it's not attractive for men, but how many of you watching this video, I would imagine the majority of my viewers are male. Would you rather have a girl who hangs out at home all day watching TV, or would you rather have a girl who's out all the time? You never know where they are, and they're being more social than you would like them to be. There is a difference in comparison. It actually goes to the apples and orange thing. Like, I hate when people bring that up, but it's actually, it's actually like applies here. I don't think it's really fair to dog on girls for doing that, because honestly, like, what guy would really care if a girl was like staying at home? Like, a girl who stays home and watches TV is like best case scenario, assuming that she's taking care of herself and not just like stuff in her face, right? You know what I'm talking about. So I don't think that that's a fair comparison, but I do understand where they're talking about. Least attractive female traits. 1, distaste of men playing video games. Yeah, like, it's tough, because we all know that for the vast majority of people, there's nothing wrong with playing video games. I just understand why girls have been built to like not want to watch their men just sit down and do nothing in a chair. But I know you're not doing nothing, but that's kind of how they're thinking about it subconsciously. But for the girls who constantly make fun of guys who play video games, that is a very, very unattractive trait. That is something that the vast majority of us really do share. Let's continue on to Cam. Yu-Gi-Oh! Not on the list. Single, by the way. There we go. We love to see it. Yu-Gi-Oh! You can't do magic tricks. No card tricks. But Yu-Gi-Oh! You are A-okay. We love to see that. Wear that blue eyes white dragon around your neck. Wear the chain. Bring Yu-Gi's case. Let's go. Maybe we can wear a dual disc, man. Frost had this to say. Least attractive female hobbies. Complaining about playing video games while spending twice as long rotting their brains staring at Netflix garbage. Again, a little bit more of the same. And this is something that you hear very, very often when talking about video games being unattractive. And it's important to note too, I'm a huge gamer. I've loved games my entire life, and I don't want this to come off like I'm hating on video games at all, which is not the case at all. And I wish that the world wasn't so backwards where I don't want us to call the world backwards for that. It's just so strange that we've reached a point in society where I can sit down, look at my screen, laugh with my boys, and then that is deemed unattractive to so many women in this space, man. Like, I'm so thankful for my wife, because she's not a gamer herself, but she does play video games, and she's very respectful about my time with my friends. It's absolutely incredible, man. If I were to make a list of things about women that turn me off, I'd probably be labeled a misogynist right away. What do you think of that? Accurate? Accurate. That is exactly what would take place. I don't care what anyone thinks about my hobbies, and they should also feel lucky that I don't voice my opinions of their hobbies. We stay in our own spaces, and we don't have any trouble. I don't know if that's right to do with a partner. Like, I don't think that you should really just stay in your own space. Yeah, you know what? Personal time might be a little bit important, but I think I think for the most normal, adjusted people, not caring about what anybody thinks about your hobby is the way to go. But sometimes, like, addictions do take place. Like, if your hobby is video games and you're playing for like 12 hours a day, and while that is something that is pretty well unheard of, it does happen. At that point, I think judgment is necessary. But for like most normal people who just like video games, basketball, whatever it may be, then you shouldn't care what anybody thinks about your hobby. Just indulge in your hobby as long as you are taking care of the responsibilities of your life. You know what's unattractive on women every guy hates? Fake eyelashes, fake lips, smoking. This guy just like coming out. This guy coming out hot, eh? You know what's crazy to me is the fake eyelashes and fake lips thing. It's incredible to me that like women still get that done, because I would imagine like the vast majority of men, I don't even have to imagine it, that the vast majority of men absolutely do agree that it's fairly unattractive. Like, it's crazy to me how people get influenced, man. I've played games since the Nintendo came out. 45, married, and still play games with my family. It's not the video games, it's the women hate. It's the fact that a man is at peace and enjoying himself, and that's a problem. A woman feels like this man needs to be doing something, anything, and they see that man happy. For some reason, they cannot allow a man to be happy. They feel they should be what makes him happy, and that's all they need. And there is truth to that, okay? Especially that last part. They feel they should be what makes him happy, and that's all they need. There is truth to that, and I don't know to what extent that is built into them subconsciously, and I don't really know the reason why that would be, because if something's built into you, you got to figure out why. It's kind of like why girls, like, for lack of a better term, manly men, right? Very capable, strong men. There's a reason girls like that. It's because they can protect you, and that's something that is built into them. I don't know why that it would be built into them, because they feel like they should be they should be the only thing that makes them happy. Is it so they doesn't step out? But even then, like, that wouldn't really make too much sense in nature, because nature encourages men to spread their seed as much as possible. So I don't know, like, because so many girls are like this, I feel like that has to be built into them, right? But I will say a lot of people do have this attitude, and you know what? Understandably so, because there are so many women out there that cannot take their man being happy without them. It's like they said at the last post, at the last sentence, they feel they should be what makes them happy, and that's all they need. But it's very important to note there are fantastic girls out there that will not do this to you. I'm thankful to have one by my side. It's just very important to not settle for anybody who doesn't let you enjoy yourself, okay? There's somebody that could criticize you, build you in a kind way, but I don't know if that really happens too often, okay? Video games help me keep me out of trouble. If you find that to be unattractive, then go to hell. I mean, I guess whatever works, right? I guess whatever works. I like that you just stand your ground, man. Stand your ground. Never let anybody talk you out of playing video games again, unless you're actually somebody who needs a little bit of life adjustment. Rebecca Knox had this to say: I do not mind the first two as long as there are some traditional masculine hobbies to balance it out. Do not have to be masters, but at least have the attempt. Like building PCs does count. Building PCs does count? Interesting. But I do agree with that. I like the fact that, and I feel like this is where I make up for it, because I am a short guy. I'm 5'7". I'm not in the best shape in the world, right? And I am into video games, creating videos. Like, none of that is inherently, like, attractive to women. None of that is necessarily masculine, but I do have it balanced out, and this is where I really do think that it works for me personally, because, and I know it's going to sound egotistical, guys, I'm sorry, but my wife is very attracted to me, and, like, in my opinion, my appearance doesn't scream like the most attractive person ever. I don't think I'm ugly or anything, but you get my point. Like, my relationship with my wife is very good, okay? Very, very good. But I think it's because I spent my entire life fighting. She knows I'm a very, very capable man, and I am working tirelessly. I worked in combined 3 jobs in order to provide for my wife, my kids. I'm not solely providing for my family, but she knows my ambition is there. Within a relationship, I am very, very masculine. I take on my role properly. Again, the only thing that I'm lacking on is, which I am absolutely going to change as time goes on, is to be the sole provider for the family. I have all my responsibilities taken care of. I think that fighting is a pretty manly thing to do, and like, I don't know. I think I balance it out well perfectly, and perhaps that's why my relationship works out. So I do like this, not minding the first two as long as there are some traditional masculine hobbies to balance it out. And I do walk through, like, my day-to-day life and speak to my wife and in a masculine way. Like, that's I don't want to sound egotistical when I say that. That's the problem. I know how that could possibly come off, but you get what I'm saying. Let's continue on to the next post by Oopie. The woman who contributed to this list: watch reality TV, don't read books, have no hobby, never participated in group activities. Again, is any of this, like, if a girl said, hey, I watch reality TV, I don't read books, I have no hobbies, never participate in group activities, a lot of guys actually would like girls like that. Besides, like, maybe you would like them to have a hobby, but again, I don't think it's really a fair comparison, because a girl who just doesn't really do all that much is very attractive to a lot of guys, okay? Notice how woman beating isn't up there. That is a hobby for some people, man. That is a hobby, and yeah, it just it just goes to show the state of the world a little bit, eh? I can understand most of these, but can someone explain the psychology behind the magic tricks one? Doesn't that indicate rare skill, or is it just too common? I don't know, but I think I agree with the comment over there. It just looks cheesy. Like, there are a lot of people that are into magic that just give creepy vibes, and I hate to say that because I love magic and I think it's super cool, but very few people can pull it off. I always think about, like, Howard from The Big Bang Theory. I know that is an exaggerated take on people who like magic, and I know that not everybody who's into magic is like that, but that is the common consensus of what somebody who picks up girls using magic is all about, you know? It's the just pulling a bouquet of flowers, like, oh, hello, and just, oh, what's this? Oh, something's coming out of my sleeve. What is this? You know, like, it's cheesy. I think it's cool, but it's cheesy, and it's just unfortunate, man. Very, very unfortunate. I don't want to know what their most attractive male hobbies would be. You never figured out, because that would change on the fly, right? All we need to have is some high status woman, like, deem, like, painting to be the most attractive thing ever, and then it would be the most attractive thing ever. So that's going to change year by year. Doesn't matter what ends up ending being on that list because it'll always change. Now they just hate seeing men having fun. Married men know what I'm talking about. Also, it's interesting that drinking isn't on that list. That would have been number 1 on mine. Man, and I know that these types of women do exist, right? A lot of girls really do hate seeing their men have fun, but it's very important to note so many people have this mindset, and you just need to find a girl who won't do this to you, man, because they are out there. While it is so difficult to navigate the dating world today for both men and women, I feel like a lot of people just give up and they'll settle because like, oh, well, all women don't like to watch their husband have fun. No, that's not the case. That's not the case. And when I am playing games with my friends and watching fights with my friends, anything like that, I come home with my wife and she's like, hey, I hope you had a good time. And she genuinely means it. There's no like secret dig behind that. There's no ignoring you. Like, these girls exist. Just don't settle, man. Just do not give up, man. Do not ever give up, okay? Never let them keep you from doing what you love, kings. If your girl doesn't want a game, gamble, and troll online with you at the same time, she does not deserve you. That's true, king. Troll online. Be the best troll you could possibly be. You'll have to forgive me there. My mom called me and then just interrupted that beautiful, beautiful little joke that we had going on there. But with that, let's continue on to the next post. Hammerstone had this to say, my wife used to play video games with me. We had a lot of good times. She also went to Star Trek conventions with me where I bought collectible action figures, and she paid for me to meet Leonard Nimoy on my birthday. Best wife ever. Okay, this is so sad, man. This is so sad because I was on the used to train, like the reply over there, but unfortunately Hammerstone's wife ended up getting cancer, and we can only hope the best for this person. It's unfortunate, man. Good things happen, or bad things happen to good people, excuse me. Because this seemed like a beautiful relationship, right? I would say I don't know if I would necessarily let the girl pay to have you meet Leonard Nimoy on your birthday. I still think, like, I can't help it, man. As I've gotten older, I've kind of changed my opinion on meeting people. Like, I don't know much about Leonard Nimoy. I don't know much about him. But the only there's very few people in this world that I look up to and I would go, like, hey, I want to take a picture. That is for people that, like, I think it'd be cool to take a picture with people in the content creation space that I'm in, people that I view as equals. And there are very few people in this world that I legitimately look up to. And I don't even mean like look up to, like it's weird, like not a fan of. Like there's a lot of fighters that I would like to meet. For example, there's a fighter named TJ Dillashaw. I modeled my entire MMA style off of him because I found his footwork, his technique beautiful, and I've spent hours and hours and countless number of hours watching this guy, studying his movements, and I have modeled my own fight style off of this person. So I wouldn't want to be like, oh my god, TJ, I'm such a really big fan, oh my god, and have like even have somebody pay for me to meet them, okay? I would like to meet them and just be like, you have been an inspiration for me and you've helped me in my own martial arts journey. I think that is really, really awesome. So that's the problem. Like I think that like looking up to celebrities is probably an inherently unattractive trait, but I got a little bit off topic there because he was talking about like she paid for you. I don't think that's right unless like, I mean, a lot of people combine bank accounts, right? But I'm talking about like, I wouldn't want my wife to pay for something like that because again, that's not exactly taking on the masculine role. Regardless, I don't know why I'm picking apart this because this guy seems to have like the best wife ever, right? Like it's unfortunate. We can only hope the best for this person. I broke that down a little bit too much that I meant to, okay? Let's take a look at another post. When we first dated, my wife thought gaming and nerds were ick. Now my hot wife plays Fortnite and Diablo 4 with me and bought a Warhammer Age of Sigmar starter set that we painted together. She thought that she got the set at a gaming convention where she cosplayed as Chi-Chi from Dragon Ball Z. Nerd culture is super fun. A lot of women screw themselves out of a good time by chasing stereotypes that don't exist, like the rich gentleman with a library who is fluent in 10 different languages, including the obscure dialect of a backwater tribe they run into while backpacking through South America. He's also friends with the village chief, having rescued the tribe from displacement by greedy loggers and developers. Okay, I know that's like over-exaggerating a lot, right? But there are girls, and you need to be careful with the cosplay girls. You need to be real careful with them, right? Because there are girls that legitimately are into nerd culture and really like to just hang out with you, do nerdy things with you. Like, my wife is a pretty big Nintendo girl. My wife is a Disney girl. Like, I'm almost sure it's Disney Dreamlight Valley. I could be wrong about that. It's something along those lines. It's this Disney game for the Switch she is obsessed with, and she loves all the Mario games. So my wife is a gamer in this sense, and that's why my relationship with her has worked out. Like, we love playing Mario Party. Anything Mario related, my girl is super into. She's never looked at me for liking games and thought of as an ick, but that could develop. You just need to have the rest of your life taken care of. My point being, like, you need to be careful with girls that are in a nerd culture, because some of them like attention from other nerds, and it's a really, really strange thing. It's almost like they get off on having as many people in the friend zone as possible. You know, those types of girls, because it's easy to walk into like any sort of anime gaming type thing, any nerdy activity, and have a bunch of guys just absolutely swarm you. So you need to be careful when you select girls like that, but they do absolutely exist, okay? Who cares what people do in their free time? Nothing wrong with these except for gambling. Fair enough. Fair enough. And yeah, like I said, man, out of all of these, and there were 10 of them, gaming is absolutely the one that stands out for some reason, but gambling is objectively the one that is incorrect. So all of these types of things, guys, could really get you into trouble with girls, could potentially even get you dumped depending on how like into it you really are. If that's the case, I made a tier list video on the best ways to get over a girl after a breakup. I would love to have you guys over there. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.